Check 1, 2.
Check. Talking. Okay. Hello, you lovelies. It is, we got a little playoff sound that I wasn't expecting because I was doing the patron-only pod, and now my brain is like, what is this? This is a sequel to last week's thing where I didn't go too early and now I'm too late. Hope you're doing well. We're going to talk about burnout today. That's today's podcast is brought to you by the letter B.
What is
burnout
happening?
So I'm having a stroke in real time. I'm joined as ever by the great Jake Lloyd Bacon, who's going to save me from drowning. How you doing, man?
I'm doing great. Welcome to Koicast, everybody. Koi is a Bostonian, loves pop culture, comic books, and people. He also just spent all weekend at Star Wars Celebration.
And it broke him. It broke him in a good way. I got to meet so many amazing people. It was actually really interesting because I've been going to a lot of Comic-Cons, which skew slightly younger, and I've been feeling like I am not on TikTok enough because everyone's like, TikTok. And then I went to Star Wars, and it's a slightly older crowd, and everyone was like referring to YouTube videos, and I guess the generation gap is really a matter of YouTube to TikTok. And it felt good. I was like, I am relevant. So weirdly, your Star Wars audiences was more my jam.
Can I say, unrelated, I have a new gig that I'm working. And it has forced me to manage a company's TikTok.
Oh boy.
And luckily it's not entertainment.
Yeah.
It's news.
Okay.
And so it's a little bit easier because it's linear. It's one direction.
Yeah.
I don't need to be engaging. It's it's strictly output.
Post, there it is. We're done here.
But the learning curve for me, understanding how TikTok works, it's the first time in my life where I've felt old.
Yeah.
I have been a creative professional. I have been a worker in a digital space for my entire life. I've always been ahead of the curve when it comes to understanding technology. I understand everything that it takes to do all of the things that I do. And when I don't understand something previously, like I get that, like even something like Instagram, where it's like when's the introduce stories, I was like, I've just never bothered to learn it. I've never bothered to look at it. But I never thought to myself, like, this is dumb. Like, this is a bad thing. This is poorly designed. TikTok is the first time where I have felt like what our parents and grandparents must have thought trying to program a VCR clock was.
Cannot imagine. Like, because it's that. But we've lived through so many leaps.
But also, it doesn't make sense. Like, what do you mean I have to hold the play button down for 2 seconds? How does hitting the play button affect the clock? Like, that... I get why they were confused because it was stupid.
There are things that are like, okay, but why?
Yeah.
But why?
Now, TikTok is stupid. The user interface is wrong. It doesn't work. Things aren't in the place they should be, and it's because it is designed for users who have exclusively grown up on devices,
not in life.
Not on people who've grown up on computers.
Right. There's no analog component. Like there's no thing that
not even analog.
translates, but like things that translated from an analog component. I mean, like it's like a third generation. It's a clone of a clone.
Right.
So like it's like people look at floppy disks and they don't realize that it's the save button. This is the next thing of that.
Right. Sure.
Like
sure,
it's
that's
deep.
Fair.
This is Jake and Koi yell at clouds.
Do you remember when we used to have to save our video games on a little card?
Yes, and you had to buy memory cards at Best Buy and FYE, and they were cool when they were clear, and you'd be like, I could see my save files. You couldn't.
Oh no, you shouldn't have bought the clear ones.
Everybody
knows you were buying the Mad Cats ones. Those were cheap. Those you lose your games, man. You always have to buy the name brand Sony only.
Sony was the best, and they had the blue, the red, and the black.
Yep.
Oh yeah, this is definitely Koi and Jake Yell at Cloud week. It has been a great week. I was talking to Jake right before air. Jake is currently moving, and Koi is currently having a career existential crisis, and in a good way. I'm realizing that taking time off is as important as taking time on.
I just want to acknowledge before you even move on.
Koi
just placed his coffee mug down directly in between two coasters. There are two coasters on the table next to him. They are equidistant apart. And the only thing you could possibly fit in between those two coasters is a coffee cup.
It was actually more difficult to do what I just did.
Yeah,
I just made the hardest choice.
You had to avoid what is a surface 90% coaster.
I had to skip over one and stop before the other. Therefore, looking at both, it is a lot this week, you guys. Every week, I think for the last, 4 sets of recordings, thus 8 episodes, we've been at various levels of like, oh God.
Yeah.
And it's funny because obviously we've been in 2 years of the world being a lot. And then we've had recent things where, more systems are failing people we care about. And there's a lot going on where it's just stressful. But I think there's been this weird okay, if we could just get through this. And then I think I finally hit a wall of okay, I'm succeeding at this. I'm so tired.
Yeah.
And it's really strange. And Jake's also moving. So I think we're both just feeling different levels of adult stress.
Yeah, there's a lot happening in our lives. And I'm tired.
So apologies if it's disarray.
This also, speaking of which, this will be the last, probably, maybe, asterisks on this. If I lied, then screw you. I don't owe you anything.
Happens. Yeah.
I don't owe you anything. But I'm
Jake.
pretty sure this is the last recording in the Burbank Dragon's Den.
You think it'll be good?
I think this will be the last one.
All right.
It likely will be. End of an era. This is the room that Dragon Wagon was born.
That's crazy. It's the penultimate at best. It is the last if you get moving.
Yeah, we'll see.
Crazy.
Because, by the way, we still don't have a move-in date.
That's insane.
We are moving. It is currently, we were recording this on the 30th, May 30th.
Yeah.
Memorial Day. And we still don't know what our move-in date is. And tomorrow's the last day of the month.
Yeah. So
right now we're packed up and waiting.
It's because they're going to a place where he starts a thing, but your June is both.
Right.
Which is chaos.
Yeah.
So June is going to be a lot. We're going to be navigating that. We'll keep you posted, but let's get some news and then we'll get more complaints from us later. Have you seen the Thor: Love and Thunder trailer?
No.
You didn't?
No.
I thought that might be one that you'd
No, I don't need to see it. I saw the first one because you were going to make me talk about it.
I mean, I'm going to make you talk about every trailer.
All right.
That's why the shirt's for.
Is there anything new in this one?
Gore's in it. Christian Bale is Gore.
I saw every photo of it.
So that's like watching
Everything
the trailer,
was
but
ruined.
sadder.
Listen.
It's like the sad version of watching the show. It's like the trailer on mute.
Koi's other friends at Real Rejects.
I love the disdain you said that with.
Just hit a milestone of 1 million subscribers on YouTube. Congrats to you guys. Immediately unfollowed on Twitter because I can't stand every thumbnail. I feel like I had something spoiled for Obi-Wan by them. I had Stranger Things came out yesterday.
Yeah.
2 spoilers from Stranger Things yesterday just in thumbnails.
Wow. See, I haven't been watching. I love them. They're great. I can't follow them because I haven't watched Stranger Things yet either.
Yeah. So yes, I have seen Christian Bale.
Understood.
Yes.
Understood.
Unavoidable.
But I like that you said that, the way you said Real Rejects of my other friends.
Yeah.
It was like we were in a polyamorous relationship. It was known, but you were still a little jealous that I was spending more time with her.
Yeah, you're like a Mormon husband and we're the wives.
Yeah, that. But it was just I know what's happening. But you're reluctantly okay with it.
Yeah,
they're my video team.
It's fine. Whatever.
It's my other component.
Whatever.
Oh man, that was great. Well, the Love and Thunder trailer is spectacular.
Yeah.
It beat hella records. It actually trounced the Avatar record, which makes me happy.
Trailer record for
the
YouTube
viewership in 24 hours in the week and stuff. Because that's a good indicator of how much interest there is. So it's a good barometer.
Sure.
It's like the reverse box office. What's this tracking at? So it actually beat Avatar, which gave me a lot of hope because I've been confused at Avatar's popularity. So Thor: Love and Thunder.
Just because you didn't think people would be into it.
I didn't understand that the market was still hungry for that.
But here's the thing, though, and this is the difference: is that it's because it's a trailer. You say it's quote tracking interest.
Yeah.
Right. And you might have not said that. I just quoted you, and I don't even think
it was a paraphrase.
I don't think you used the term quote. Or I'm sorry, you don't think you used the term tracking. But I think the Avatar might just mostly be what are they going to do?
Well, that's so trailer 1 is
intrigue.
That. Trailer 2 is so that's what I'm curious about is this was Thor trailer 2,
right?
Which is it's not the people that are what is it? It's the people that are what I want to know.
I want more.
Yeah. So Avatar trailer 1 is the people that are James Cameron, what have you been up to?
Right.
What?
Sure.
So I like that trailer 2 took over Avatar 1 because I feel like Avatar 1 is people like me that are I guess I'm there.
Right.
And then there's also the people that grew up 10 years, younger than us that are I was 5. What is this? So I'm really curious about both of those things back to back, but also I liked Ragnarok, but I don't love it as much as other people. I enjoy it, but it's not in my top 10 Marvel. This to me looks like a better blend of the Taika humor with more of his dark side that I enjoy, like The Boy and Jojo Rabbits that we talk about.
Sure.
So this trailer kind of showed more of the, I think it's going to be really interesting commentary on gods and belief because Gore the God Butcher, we've got Zeus is in this trailer. Russell Crowe's playing Zeus. We got a lot of those elements.
I saw Russell Crowe and I don't know if he probably doesn't run his own social media. I would take a guess he doesn't know.
Yeah.
He's like me on TikTok. But whoever runs his social media and or him changed his profile photo and just wrote hashtag new profile. And it's like a terrible photo.
And it's wicked. Yeah,
really
that was good
funny.
Marketing because I was immediately laughing at the idea of Russell Crowe's self-awareness that I hope exists.
Very funny.
Also the fact that Zeus, a bunch of people, there was like a bunch of Snyder fans and I actually got in some Snyder.
Did you see that stupid thing of like DC's Zeus versus Marvel Zeus? They made a joke of them.
And I was like, if you've ever read a Greek myth in your life, you know that Zeus is the problem, not the solution.
That might be my favorite idiot tweet that I've ever seen. Of all the idiot tweets.
I literally retweeted it saying like, a Snyder cultist. And then like I muted more on that thread than my Roe versus Wade conversation.
Great.
Because that's Twitter. But yeah, it's been a crazy week of Thor Love and Thunder hype. I do think this movie is going to do some bananas numbers because Doctor Strange has already passed 800 million and this is doing so much better tracking than Doctor Strange had. So a lot of people have been upset about like Marvel Phase 4 and like the direction it's going and the lack of direction. I honestly think that it's like Phase 1 on crack as far as numbers. I do think it is the first half is going to feel erratic and they do have a plan, but we're not going to know the plan until after, I think, Ant-Man Quantumania. I think that's going to tie up a lot of things.
What is our Avengers for this? What's our
I think it's going to land on Secret Wars, but I think on the journey there...
No, I meant like you think Secret Wars is going to be the last of this phase?
I think Phase 4 is going to be like 10 years long.
Oh, okay.
So what I'm saying is like I think we haven't reached the point where we got to like, oh, this is coming together.
Right.
But like if you look at Phase 1, there was like 4 movies that were completely disparate except for the post-credit scenes. I think that's going to be like that, but like for 10 movies. And then it's going to be a bigger connection. Because Secret Wars is such a bigger story.
Yeah, I'm worried about that. I'm worried. I think that we've talked about on the show that lightning in a bottle that was
Phase 1,
the first, or not even Phase 1, the first 3 phases of everything up until this point is going to be really hard to recapture because now they are building on everything that occurred in those first 3 phases.
Right.
They're not starting from
zero. It's not a fresh start.
It's
you're starting at 60 miles per hour. How do you get to 100?
Yeah. It's interesting.
But I think the Thor Love and Thunder flavor is a good way to do that. I think it looks a little darker. Yeah. I'm really excited for Jane Foster. There's some great Jane Valkyrie scenes in the trailer.
That's fun.
I'm definitely all about it. But as you haven't seen it, that is just a brief rundown. Star Wars Celebration. I was telling Jake right before we got into it. I love Star Wars fans in person. I had a really, really great celebration.
That's not exactly what you told me.
You
said you were not looking forward to it.
I said I was worried about it. Yeah, no, I'll own that. I'll say it on the record. I was worried about it because I've only had exposure to Star Wars fans digitally for the last like 10 years.
The worst.
It's scary.
Just the worst.
Well, because I feel like people, there's a certain amount of fan entitlement with any fandom. That's part of being a fan. But with Star Wars, I don't know enough to feel like I can have the conversation. So it's like getting yelled at and not being able to say anything back. I'm just like, you might be right. I'm sorry. And I don't want to pretend. And I think people assume if you know a lot about one nerd thing, you know at least medium about other.
Sure.
I don't know shit.
Right.
Like Star Trek, I know just the Kelvin universe. Star Wars, I'm medium. I'm proudly medium.
Right.
But I consider myself an expert with Marvel and just below an 8 out of 10 with DC. So when I get Star Wars things and I'm like a 7, it feels like a 2. If I know just canon, they're like, well, you don't know Chewbacca's cousin.
Right.
No, I don't know Chewbacca's cousin. So I was really afraid of going there and being me in public talking and having conversations. But everyone there was just celebrating. It was truly a victory lap for Star Wars fans. It felt like when we walked out of Endgame and everyone's kind of sad, but also we're like, yeah, the nerds did it.
They're
it felt like that. Yeah. So 4 days of that was really, really special. I got to meet a lot of the people. Star Wars Attack of the Clones came out 20 years ago, which is insane to think about. I was 13. I was the exact right age for movie theater. Wow. So I remember loving the spectacle, but still being like, this isn't for me, even then. So watching that movie, now it's a different thing than when you're 13. But you still have the reverence for Obi-Wan. You still have the reverence for Hayden Christensen as Anakin and all those things. So it was really interesting that Hayden's been out of the limelight for most of those 20 years. So meeting him at Star Wars was very much it didn't feel like I was meeting an actor. It felt like I was meeting someone from my childhood that grew up.
Right.
Usually actors from your childhood stay in it. So meeting Hayden was the boy who lived. So it was a really interesting, different dynamic with the geek culture I'm a part of. And similarly, it's Tamora Morrison. He's been on Book of Boba Fett, but I haven't seen him in life.
Sure.
So it was really what you've gone through with fandom and the celebration of this world. And I would argue the day-to-day Star Wars fan is a different energy on stage than even Marvel fans. Like that room feels like a concert. It is so lively and exciting. So it was really cool to see Hayden Christensen get his due, like to get like his love and to feel that.
I think the reason why it varies so much to something like Marvel is that there's a greater legacy.
Yeah.
Like you said, this was 20 years ago.
Yeah, we haven't gotten there with Marvel.
So it's the equivalent of when the prequels came out.
Yeah.
And the characters that were being celebrated from 20 years prior.
Right. They were already a legacy when it came out 20 years ago.
So I think that's the difference, is that
because we're 45 from Empire, I think.
Yeah, something like that. But that's the thing, is like like you said, you were 13. Like this was something from your childhood.
Yeah.
And you were not the only person in the room that felt that way. And that's why it feels like a concert, because it's like, oh gosh. Also, there is something to be said about, here's an actor who the people who love him, and the people who hate him blame him for ruining a thing they love.
Right, and they're now there's now a cheering audience, so he gets to like not be afraid. Like it felt good. It feels weird to say, but I felt relieved for him. Right. Like it was nice to be like just happy for a guy.
Sure.
And then obviously, Ewan McGregor's like charm incarnate. So like just the vibe, the brotherhood banter, and then also I'm buddies with Daniel Logan, who played young Boba in those films, and he's gone on to like voice Boba and do things. But to see Boba and Boba, who played father and son in those movies, they're like brothers. It's so delightful. So the vibe was all very like a family reunion, and then we were like watching a family reunion that felt like we were like getting a new movie. So it was a really special vibe, and Celebration was really nice, and I got to meet a lot of fans, like probably more per minute than at Comic-Con. I was really surprised at, maybe it was the pandemic, maybe it's because I do so much digitally, but I say this all the time, it feels like I'm speaking, like me and Jake are talking to each other and there's a microphone. I forget people are listening. Sure. So like when I'm out at these things, I'm always like, wait, that weird conversation about Jake and I, like it's weird when people reference our shit.
Right.
So I met so many Koicast fans, and it was so alarming that like they'd come up to be like, oh, that thing you said on Koicast, like people were talking about Cannibal Run, and I was like, that's awesome. People listen. Right. So it was a really special con. I'm really excited for San Diego now, because the last few cons have been kind of like, diet, like they've been half full.
I got that email that's like, you can register to grab your passes now, and I was like, shit, I gotta have to actually do that. Because I still have the Pro Pass, because they just extended it in the pandemic.
Yeah.
But I haven't actually. Yeah. Hey, here's the email.
July 21 to 24. You
Dear
guys.
Professional, we've got big news for you. Blah 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 blah. Yeah. This email contains time-sensitive information, so read it carefully. Oh, I probably should have read this earlier.
I'm literally writing in July 20 to 24 right now, because I just wrote down late July. Like it's that kind of year where I'm like, yeah, Comic-Con's coming.
So, all right. So I didn't miss it. Professional badge registration will be open to all eligible professionals until July 8th. But when does it open? Is it open right now?
Yes, it's open right now.
Oh man, I should be doing this while we record today.
We should totally do it. Yeah. What, are you going down all 4 days?
No, I never. I have literally never. That's not true. I stayed one night once at Comic-Con, but I've never stayed overnight. I've always
just popped down?
I always just drive for the day and then drive up.
Wow. So you usually only do a day of the 4?
Sometimes I do 2.
But you drive?
But I always drive. And I never do 2 back to back. So sometimes I'll do Friday and Sunday.
Yeah.
Or I'll do Thursday, or there's a preview, whatever it ends up being.
Then come back and grab your stuff you want to buy.
Yeah, Sunday's usually shopping day.
Yeah.
And so hopefully that will be what this year is. And also there's another thing, is Alexandra at the moment doesn't have a pass. She got, although, you know what? Question mark, because I think she ended up getting a Pro Pass to WonderCon, so maybe
she'll be able to
the same thing.
Yeah.
Anyways, I don't think she got the email, so maybe not. But I digress. This is a ridiculous tangent. Getting her a pass is also sometimes you know what it's like. You play the game of like, well, who do I know has one who's not going on Sunday?
Yep. Let me navigate.
Because a lot of our friends who get Pro Passes don't go
Saturday
on Sunday.
They just go to the parties and then leave.
But yeah, I'll definitely look forward to it, and hopefully by July we'll be settled into the new place, and it'll be like a nice like little adventure for us to go do.
Yeah, and then we'll get to have we've been having, since Koicast started, our like reminiscing talks. It'll be good to have like a news story.
Yeah,
we'll have our stories from Comic-Con instead of Remember When Comic-Con.
Right, sure.
And we, Jake and I had our first, our panel at WonderCon was really special for me, because like, we got to do, like, it was ours. We got to do what we wanted. So I'm hoping with Comic-Con this year, we submitted. We'll see if we get San Diego goodness. But that being said, no matter what, it felt great to be back at a con. And this one was really special. They debuted not only the first 2 episodes of Obi-Wan, but also some new trailers. We got an Ahsoka trailer. We got a really cool Andor trailer. I was excited for Andor, but it's like a prequel to Rogue One.
Are you saying Endor with an E or
no?
Andor? I don't know what Andor is.
It's a character.
Oh, okay.
You're like, Endor sounds.
Tell me
Seconds ago, and I was like, I don't know Star Wars as well as other things. You're like, are you saying Endor wrong? The Andor trailer takes place before Rogue One, and apparently it's going to be 2 seasons that lead right up until the Rogue One film. So that cast. And the trailer looked really cool because it looked like a war film. And I always said I liked Rogue One because I've always enjoyed Star Wars, but I never felt the war part until Rogue One. And I was like, oh, these fighters are like the Top Gun jets, and it felt like, war. And this looks like a long form version of that.
Right.
And you get to see different like cultures and communities at war. So that trailer really, really caught my interest.
That, to be honest with you, of all the Star Wars things that have come out post, the new era, the Disney era, Rogue One was probably my favorite, only because it felt like a fun sidebar.
And it felt unique.
Yeah, it felt unique, and I was like, yeah, this is the stuff that I would be into, but
so this show might be your thing.
But it's also a show.
Yeah, and I know you're
so long. There's so much.
Which is funny because you have such casual viewing of some things, but I know you can't casually watch these narratives. So it's like when we talk and you're like, yeah, watch these 5 shows. Yeah, but they're like, background things.
Right.
And yet you haven't seen Mandalorian and it's fucking awesome.
Same.
It's that madness. I was really, really lucky. I got there at 10:30. I had people on the floor to help me out, and I knew some of the Disney folk, but I was able to walk in and experience a live John Williams concert. And that is like nothing I can't even describe. Wow. It was during a live action panel, and I didn't know. It was a surprise that he was going to come out. And they were like, oh, it's John's 90th birthday. And they kept like referencing the screen. We were all waiting for him to like say a message.
Sure, yeah.
And then John Williams walks out. And I'm like, holy fuck. And then he like does this, and then this thing opens up and a full orchestra slides out.
How did you not?
No, they hit it. It was behind a wall and then it slid out.
I know, but I'm saying, like, how were you not privy to any of this?
Yeah,
it's
right?
Crazy.
Like, it was insane. Like, I usually know this stuff. I was literally front row. So, like, they held me seats and I didn't know it. Right. So, like, they slid out an orchestra, and then John Williams starts conducting. What's crazy is he's 90. So him walking out, you're like aware the man is older, still looks like 70.
Sure.
As soon as he starts conducting, he's like flow state. It's like muscle memory. The man looks 20. Man looks younger than me when he's conducting. Wow. So he's conducting and he plays the Imperial March. He plays the original like Star Wars theme. And then he starts joking and he's like, all right, now this one isn't Star Wars, but I don't think they'll mind. And he starts playing Indiana Jones. And like, this is of course now my entire childhood.
Right,
my pores are reacting. I'm like hyperventilating.
To this day, I've never been to the Hollywood Bowl night. And I'm like, we gotta do that.
It's so special. Yeah, I mean, he's 90.
Yeah.
So they're playing my childhood. I'm front row, not in the on the stage, but like right that first row back. And I look over and I see Harrison Ford waiting on the sidelines. Like I see Harrison waiting to make his entrance. I'm like, fucking Harrison Ford's here. Right. And I know the audience is about to, like, I know what's about to happen. So I like turn the camera and I get the audience like uproariously celebrating Harrison Ford. So Harrison comes out. Clearly he didn't know. John Williams didn't know.
Wow.
So Harrison is just like, this is what you mean to me. And Harrison starts getting choked up.
Aww.
So there's this like really emotional moment with Harrison Ford wishing him a happy birthday and getting choked up. I'm like, I'm seeing history. Like I'm seeing like such a thing. And then he plays like 2 more songs. And then he's like, all right, we want to do something special for this audience. There's nothing like Star Wars Celebration. I composed the Obi-Wan theme and no one has heard it live. You'll be the first. And then they played the Obi-Wan theme live before us. And it was so special. And like Harrison stayed to listen and all this happens. And like, as they wrap it out, like the whole audience is just like in shock of what they just witnessed. And we got to see
as a surprise,
as a surprise,
complete, like
not on any schedule. No. And like, that's what Comic-Con used to feel like.
Right.
Like that's when Loki comes out Hall H.
Yep.
So absolutely. I got to have one of those and I kept being like, I needed this back. This is so special.
What's also nice about that is that I think some of those things have become expected.
Yes.
Where you go, where you go like, oh, I need to get into the Hall H thing at Comic-Con because
I bet John Williams
I guarantee you that this person's going to come out because they're going to, and everything is like rumor based. This is the sort of thing that you couldn't predict.
Yeah.
Because it's not like, for example, one might be like, oh, I wouldn't be surprised if Mark Hamill shows up at this thing, and there's always murmurs about it.
Right, because blank and blank.
But it's usually an actor.
Yeah.
It's usually like a casting
You don't
rumor.
expect the composer of our times.
Yeah, exactly. You don't expect John Williams and a full orchestra.
Yeah, because they hit a full orchestra. And then like, I love that Harrison Ford felt like icing, not the cake. And that was really special too, because it stayed about John Williams.
Right.
And that was it. So it's just like layers of like,
I love it.
It was really magical. Then they went into, and then for me personally, I'm a giant Willow fan. So they went from that into Willow, and they had like the whole cast come out, and like that, like Ron Howard came out. So I'm like, holy fuck! I'm like, 1993 is happening before. Like it was so special. So they showed a little bit of Willow. They showed the Willow trailer. Warwick Davis is so funny and charming. So they had that whole like banter back and forth. And then they did casually mention that the Glover Lando show is still in the works. So like a lot of really cool little details and then spectacles. So that's peak Comic-Con. Like that's what you do. You do like a little bit of news, remind you why you love this shit.
Right. Yeah.
So it was so special.
It's that, and that is one of the only things I actually like about those sorts of panels and events is like, I would much rather you put on a show for me than just tell me about shit that's happening.
Like I walked into the room and they were doing the Duel of the Fates with a full choir.
Right.
So it's a show. I'm seeing all these people lit in red going,
oh. Yeah. And that like the very first time I ever did Hall H, I remember thinking like, I could have just watched this on YouTube
in 10 minutes.
Or like and not wasted my day and enjoyed the floor.
Right.
And then like I didn't do it for like 2 years because I was like, it was a waste. I don't want to do it. And then my friends were like, let's go do it. We're going to go there. And that was one of my favorites because I think it was the year that Super came out.
Yeah.
And had no idea that like all of the cast was going to be there.
And that's so different.
And it's like, and it's just like, oh, all these other people will, and I can't remember there was like 3 panels back to back that all had something really fun and unique. And I was like, oh, okay, this is the magic. But it wasn't just them talking about the shit they're making. It was like, they did a thing. They performed.
It wasn't a press conference.
Yeah. It reminds me way back when Jeffster performed. Do you know what I mean? Because I really think that people don't give credit to like Chuck.
Yeah.
For like really setting the bar for like, here is a thing that you can do at a con.
Right. To make it once in a lifetime.
To make it, they literally were like, oh yeah, we're just going to perform. We're going to have this fictional band perform for real.
Yeah.
For this show.
And you'll be the ones seeing it live. Because even if you watch it later, it's not like being there live.
No.
Like, it's like watching concert footage.
And like you said, they didn't know. It was a surprise.
Right.
Yeah.
It was so special. So yeah, that was a highlight of my Star Wars celebration. And then the next day, seeing my buddy Daniel with the, Attack of the Clones, they surprised us with Ewan and Hayden. They were obviously, we knew they were in the building, but it was the last 10 minutes. We'd all accepted that they weren't coming. So it was clever that they had like then popped up and Ewan did his hello there and the crowd lost their shit.
Sure, yeah.
I love that 2 words evoke that level. Like 2 of the most common words in the English language.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was a really special con. So that if you guys want to know more about my con experience, check social media. I was on it way too much. Part of my burnout is I was trying to be in person and digital, and man, it is harder and harder when you're like, I'm basically doing like a 12-hour day in person, and then I need to squeeze in 6 hours digital, and like that's not conducive to health.
No.
I'm trying, people. I really am trying. We also got a Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning trailer. Did you watch that?
No.
Oh,
I would be lost anyway because I have not seen the Missions Impossibles. We had this conversation before.
We have, but I forgot. Like, no, it's happening at me right now.
It's another one of those giant franchises that got away from me.
Saw the first one, if memory serves?
I think I saw the first one, but I don't remember. You have to realize the first one came out
2000.
I was in high school, and it was unavoidable.
Right.
That Limp Bizkit music video was everywhere.
That's Mission Impossible 2.
We literally, okay.
I got you.
Sure. Well, we literally, my band played that song.
Oh, that's amazing. It's a great song.
But like, I feel like Mission Impossible was unavoidable of the era. And I think I was working at Blockbuster when it came out.
So you were there for all the sequels.
I had to have seen
at least the first one.
Yeah, I had to have seen at least the first one. I probably rented it or just watched it with my buddy.
No, you're gonna watch them all before with the new one.
Yeah, well, I've been meaning to just rewatch that franchise or watch that franchise for ages. Another one of those franchises.
You're gonna check off a big chunk of your letterbox.
But no, not just that. But much like Fast and the Furious, have not seen them all yet. Own all of them.
Oh, that's so funny.
I own them all digitally because
does not surprise me at all.
Yeah.
They're amazing. So the new trailer would make no sense.
I'm a sucker for the deals.
I mean, I get it. And you're like, oh, this is all for $20. Sure, I'll never watch them. Well, what's great about the new trailer is that it is one of those things where it brings back certain characters you wouldn't have expected.
Right.
But it doesn't feel like nostalgia. It feels like, oh, we realize how deep this tapestry is. And then like what they're doing is they're trying not to just be James Bond. And you're gonna love it because you love James Bond.
Yeah.
So I love that this trailer is talking about different stakes and the tone is really different. It's actually like leaning into the silence. It's a really special trailer because there's a lot of like absence of sound.
Yeah.
And it's really funny because like I've been watching all these trailers that are like feel this like the Zack Snyder thing we talk about, like feel because of strings. And this trailer's like, no, we fucking trust you.
Right.
Here's some uncomfortable silence.
Nice.
So it's a really special trailer. Again, if you aren't aware of the franchise, it won't mean as much to you because the whole time I was like, that's what this means, and this is this and this. And they've done a really good job making the later half of it like a big quadrilogy. Like ever since Macquarie took over, it's a big 4-chunk story.
Yeah, I remember people saying that like the franchise, it's kind of like Fast and Furious, but it's a better version from what I've been told. Where it like pivots to being like, oh no, let's actually connect these movies.
Yeah, because 1, 2, and 3 are basically like Ethan Hunt is your connection.
Yeah, they're the Bond movies. Right. They're just doing what Bond has done.
And then Ghost Protocol is when the
shift switches.
I think it was what Pixar director was Brad Bird. I think it was Brad Bird took over. And then it was
that's the one with Simon Pegg.
Yes.
Yes.
And that's kind of like a gateway.
I may have also seen that one. Question mark.
They did a lot of IMAX footage. I mean, it wouldn't surprise me if you saw it because it was so big.
Yeah.
And then that was kind of like the gateway, kind of like Fast 5.
Right.
And then 6, 7, and now these two are all Christopher McQuarrie, and now it's like one big.
Yeah.
And it's cool because this is the first one that connects to the first one.
Right.
So this trailer has characters from the first one, which
movie.
is when they were disjointed.
Very fun.
So it's like, oh, fuck yeah.
But we're fixing that. We're retroactively fixing
Kind of like when Daniel Craig brought in certain characters from the old Bond. You're like, oh, they're fixing. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, the fact that we just like, oh yeah, let's not forget Spectre is the big villain here. Yeah.
Exactly. So it feels like that, but with Tom Cruise doing stunts and being crazy.
Love it.
So speaking of Tom Cruise doing stunts and being crazy, if you guys know me, you know that Top Gun means about as much to me as most superhero films. Top Gun is my childhood. Top Gun is very weirdly personal to me and my family. Top Gun, my mom's obsessed with Tom Cruise, so that was kind of like the movie we watched with my family. And my uncle, who was the guy that like taught me how to drive cars and stuff, had it on cassette, so I listened to that soundtrack my entire childhood. I owned the soundtrack on cassette, CD, and A-track. I actually have an A-track of the Top Gun soundtrack. So I am very, very excited to say that Top Gun Maverick is up there with T2 and Aliens for me as one of the great sequels of all time. It's not just a good movie. I think it is a movie much like T2 enhances the first, much like Aliens, that makes you go like, oh, we can go a different way, but still be really important. And what I like about it most is I love Top Gun, but there's a lot of American almost pornography. It's almost
it's propaganda.
Yeah, it's a propaganda.
It's literally
film.
Air Force.
It's a
propaganda.
Navy. It's a Navy recruitment.
I'm sorry, Navy. Yeah.
But what I like about it is this new one is acknowledging that, but it almost feels like it's a movie about the America we want to be instead of the America that we pretended to be. Without
having seen it, I will say the drawing comparisons to T2 is not fair because, and this is just me defending T2, is that you've had what, 40 years in between? 36 to learn. And like, if they made Top Gun 2 years after Top Gun, sure, it would have been the same shit. It would have been the same movie. But we have changed. I'm just saying the scope of great sequels. But I don't know that I put this in the same category as a traditional sequel. A movie that has 36 years in between isn't just a sequel. One of my favorite facts, Tom Cruise in 1986, the year Top Gun came out, was in The Color of Money, the sequel to the Paul Newman film. Yes. That was 26 years earlier. At the time, Tom Cruise was the longest gap between sequels. And with this movie, that's the sequel to his other movie in 86, he's now taken that title back. Love it. Like statistically, that's such a fun movie fact. It's absurd. He literally is like, oh, by the way, and then 36 years later. Like the man doesn't age, stays a movie star. Well, wait a minute. How I think Harrison Ford has to have that. Oh, unless you're not counting direction. Because I'm saying anybody who's in the original Star Wars who's in new Star Wars has to have a bigger gap. But it has to be just the 1 to 2. Got it. Like, so it's a sequel versus a series. Got it. So he's the guy that's like, oh, by the way, my record. That's fun. And like the movie itself, like you've seen the behind the scenes footage. Like it's gonna be insane. I'm so excited. So insane. I saw it in a regular theater because I rushed to see it ASAP. Right. And then I was like, I need to see this in prime Dolby and like the Dolby, like the seat rocking. I'm hoping you got to see that one in theaters. I'm hoping that it stays in theaters long enough for us to finish our move because there's literally no way I'm gonna be able to see it. It's not 3 hours. It's only 2. But still, honestly, I literally don't know physically. I can barely do this podcast recording today. Yeah, no, I get it. Like we're both like scheduled time. What are we getting here? What's going on? So I just hope that it stays in theaters through at least the next couple of weeks, which I'm sure it will. Because no one's competing with it. This will run for 6 weeks, minimum. And if not, it's got legs. Yeah. Like because everyone's like, oh, it's better than I heard. And you bring your dad. Because people think that it's going to be a cheesy. People think it's going to be. And then word of mouth comes out. It's got an A+ cinema score. Yeah, it's got 97% Rotten Tomatoes. And I know there's no shortage of friends who I'm sure will go with me because I don't know that Alexandra will care, even though I'm sure it's exceptional. I don't think she cares at all about I know she doesn't care about Tom Cruise. She's like, it's like tough for her to like. She hates him so much. Right. And whereas I literally saw it twice by myself because I was like, I don't want to see it with someone that doesn't have this. Like so, I was afraid of an 80% review, so I was just like, I need this for me. Did you see Top Gun 3D when they came out? Like, yes. Oh fuck yeah, that was so fun. Also saw it by myself. I remember seeing that and being worried because at that point, the last movie I saw in 3D prior to that was Avatar. Oh, right. It was so cool in 3D. I hated it. Like not the Top Gun. Oh, no. I struggle with 3D in movies. Sure. Like the glasses style 3D movies. There's something about my brain that doesn't work for me. Yeah. I think I've actually explained it on the show before, so I won't get into my whole my scientific diatribe about depth of field, which is why it doesn't work. But that movie, they did such an exceptional job of that 3D transfer. And I actually know people who worked on it. And I remember afterwards being like, how the fuck did you guys pull that off?
It was incredible.
Because it doesn't feel, and I think the reason why it works is because it was the exact opposite of Avatar and the opposite of a lot of, because they were 3Ding every movie of the era. And I had a good friend who worked on one of the primary 3D teams in Los Angeles, who all they're really doing is applying, this bizarre grayscale depth where anything that's a specific color gets pushed back, or, a specific shade hue, everything that's a specific hue gets pushed forward, and it separates. And the furthest from us and the closest to us was such an extreme gap that some of the movies just looked terrible.
Yeah.
And it was explained to me that when they did Top Gun, the 90% of the scenes, they kept that gap so much closer.
And it
because it was a movie from so long ago that it didn't have the ultra stylized cinematic style of today.
Right. It was just
movies
clean
of
shots.
today. Yeah, it was mostly
you could
just
grab the plane because it's a plane on the screen.
Exactly.
And the sky is your background.
Yep. And so it was a much easier thing to transfer, and that was why it worked so well. I'm so glad that my friend Ford, because I was like, no, I don't like 3D movies. I didn't want to go. I was like, I love Top Gun, but I don't want to. And it was so good.
I think it was like 10 years ago. I think it was the 25th anniversary.
I was gonna say, I said 2013 was my immediately guess. I can tell you because I've logged it in my letterbox.
Yeah. So
I can tell you the exact day.
I will tell you, dear audience, there are some movies I want to see with friends. There are other movies I want to see by myself. I've seen Top Gun 2 by myself because I was not ready to have anyone not love it. Like, one thing is not liking it. If you didn't love it, I was out.
February 8th, 2013 is when I saw
good
that.
Memory. So it was the 25th anniversary of the first one, I imagine. Yeah. Something like that. Oh, that movie's so good. Yeah, so Top Gun, Maverick, I cannot sing praises of higher. I gave it 4.5 stars. It might go up to 5. I give 5 so rarely. I really need to not have the immediate oh my God, I'm just overwhelmed with this being good. But it is, I think, my number 2 movie of the year after Everything Everywhere All at Once. It is a really special time at the movies. Not only does it accomplish what I think the first one does, which it makes you feel motivated and cool. Like, some movies make you feel cool. Some movies make you feel motivated. Like Rocky makes you want to work out. But Top Gun just makes you hope and feel cool. There's so much happening. I was in a really rough mood this morning because I'm just tired and burnt out. And I put on, I worked for, I did some press for Top Gun, and they gave me some aviators, because we were driving Porsches. And I put on the aviators and I thought back to a scene in Top Gun and was like, today's not so bad. Not a lot of movies can do that as an adult for me.
Sure,
when you're a kid, most movies can do that for you.
Almost. That's almost exclusively what movies do.
That's what they are. You watch Ace Ventura and
Joy
you quote
machines.
it. Yeah. It doesn't fucking matter. But as an adult, your problems are bigger and the world's bigger. So I was like, fucking Top Gun just improved my day a day later. This is fucking awesome. So go see Top Gun Maverick and literally make your life better is what I'm saying.
When was it released? When did it come out? Was
Thursday.
Last Thursday?
Yeah. 4
came out
days
on the
ago.
26th?
Yes.
Yeah. It'll definitely be
Oh,
theaters.
dude, you're good.
Yeah.
Because that means a month is the 26th of June.
It's going to be weird once we move. We're going to have a new movie theater.
For the first time in 8 years.
And well, more than that, because I've lived in this, even though I've
lived
in
this area,
neighborhood for a decade now.
What's your new movie theater?
I think the closest one might be a Landmark, maybe.
Oh, do you have A-list though?
I'm not sure. No, I think we let it expire because we weren't going.
Well, you guys,
to
you didn't see Batman in theaters. Yeah, there's not in theaters.
Yeah. But also, we're still very weird. Yeah, I think our closest one is going to be a Landmark, which is going to be really weird.
You're changing brands, you're changing gangs, you're changing zip codes.
I literally have to look up. I don't even know. Let's see. All right, there's our new zip code.
Look up the theater zip code.
Yeah, exactly. Movie theater.
This is how it's done. Technology.
Righty.
Go to Fandango. Plug.
Let's see. My theaters. Nope. How do I do this? How does this work?
This is like watching someone read the newspaper.
Shut
your
butt.
Amazing. I'm so glad I have a screen right now.
I forgot that was over there. I was like, how do you know what I'm doing?
I'm watching him hover over images and shopping. They might help him.
Alrighty, let's see here. It might be the AMC. Oh, never mind. We might still be AMC.
That's a great theater, dude.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Is parking going to be a nightmare?
It's like $2 you just pay for it. But it's
not too bad.
No, it's not like a $20 parking lot.
Oh, yeah, that one's also close.
Oh, that one's great too. Those two are solid.
Park, 1-star
I've
theater.
Never been to Park.
Anyways, yeah. So this is literally that little dot right there is going to be where we live.
Oh yeah, you got two. Actually, those might be. Not, I mean, obviously you're really close, but that's still not far.
No.
Hell yeah.
All right. Well, so I do like AMC. Plus, I don't want to miss out on what's her face in the beginning.
I mean, Nicole Kidman gets. I have considered buying the shirt of Heartbreak. Feels a little better in a place like this for months. I might have to. Speaking of movie theaters, before we get to comic recommendations, Speaking of Top Gun, this is the highest opening weekend of a Tom Cruise movie by 2 times. It doubled War of the Worlds.
Wow.
It is the highest Memorial Day weekend of all time, beating Pirates of the Caribbean in a fucking pandemic.
That's pretty crazy. I will say, it's Tom Cruise for being the biggest movie star.
Mm-hmm. His movies don't open like.
I don't think of him.
It's funny that like Tom Cruise doesn't equal box office in the same way.
I think that's because of the stigma of years of Tom Cruises.
Yeah.
I think it ended in the early 2000s. Like the Tom Cruise, even though we all know he's the biggest movie star.
And he still acts like a movie. Like he still does the movie star things. And this movie is a movie star movie.
Right, yeah.
But as far as box office, movie star, those are 2 different things now.
Also, he hasn't always, I mean, he made the new Mummy. You know what I mean? Like it's not like he's been consistently great.
Yeah, he's not flawless, but also he's consistent.
Yeah.
Like it's a rare dip.
So it beat Pirates. For
dude.
Memorial Day weekend. Yeah. Is that what it is? Well, it is, you know, if it's Memorial Day weekend and it's a movie about a military. That's
right.
Not fair.
It does kind of help.
Cheated.
But like, as I didn't expect it to beat Pirates. And that was the 3rd Pirates. So it had momentum of Pirates.
Oh, watch.
So yeah, it made 124 million domestic for the first 3 days. 156 is what it's tracking to make today. Like total.
Now,
so it'll be a 156 weekend.
Now, how much of what he made goes directly to Scientology?
You know, I don't want to think about it because I've seen it twice.
How many families have been destroyed because of that?
And then it made 248 globally in its opening weekend, $250 million globally opening weekend on a movie mainly practical, not a lot of CGI. It feels like a movie star movie.
Does Tom Cruise follow you on Twitter?
He might.
Go to it. Find out.
I didn't say it.
Go to Tom Cruise.
I didn't say it today.
Go to Tom Cruise.
I was waiting to get the attitude.
No. I'm asking because he follows me. Tom Cruise it says follows you right there.
Yeah, he does. Tom Cruise follows me on
Twitter. Yeah, see.
But mine happened offset. We worked together.
You know, no, you didn't.
I worked on night and day.
He doesn't control this.
But
it's a bot.
Within a week.
You probably tweeted about him once.
Oh, yeah.
And it automatically followed you.
I thanked him for what he called my mom.
I thanked him. Yeah, and what happened is that I wrote something about him being a weird Scientologist, how Scientology is evil, and then I immediately got a follow, and I was worried.
Oh. And I was worried.
He's following 50.4 thousand. Like it's just a bot. It's an automatic.
I'm honored to be one of them. Here I am being followed by a bot that I like very much. 248 million opening weekend for a film that is not based on a comic book, nor is it CGI heavy. Warms my heart.
But it's also a franchise.
It's the sequel. It's not a full franchise.
It's a franchise.
It's
not an original idea.
It's not an IP. Not an original IP. All right, that'll do it for Top Gun. That'll do it for movies. That'll do it for Old Man Yells at Cloud. Let's talk about some comic books. Okay, so for last week, my favorite books for I've been so busy I didn't even read last week's comics yet. For 2 weeks ago, the 18th, May 18th, which I haven't given you my Rex for yet, is I'd recommend Batman the Night #5, Count Crowley, Amateur Midnight Monster Hunter #2, House of Slaughter #6, I Hate This Place #1, Joe Hill's Reign #5, Nightwing 92, Silk 5, Thor 25, and Wolverine 21 were my favorite books from 2 weeks ago. The books I recommend you pick up tomorrow, the 1st of June, you lovelies. We are into June. We are summertastic. We got Action Comics Annual 2022, Alien 12, Batman Annual 2022, Black Panther #6, Captain Marvel 38, Carnage #3, Closet #1, a new indie from Image, Deadpool Bad Blood #2. That is Rob Liefeld back on Deadpool, a sequel to his Bad Blood book that came out about 3 years ago. Firepower 21, Ghost Rider 3, Knights of X #2, Miles Morales Spider-Man 38, The Nice House on the Lake #9, Righteous Thirst for Vengeance #8, and Strange #3 are the books I'm going to be checking out this very week. And that is going to do it for comics and movie stuff. We got anything else we want to talk about?
Oh, we do have something very, very, very important.
Thought we did.
As you know, it is the 1st of June.
New month. What does that mean?
Which means it is time to name our June unpunchable gift horse of the month.
Someone's about to get punchable.
Someone's about to get unpunchable.
Well, we'll see.
A bunch of other people are about to continue to be punchable.
And he might become punchable.
Doesn't necessarily have to be a he. I don't know why you had to be.
Well, no, but right now, someone is currently unpunchable. Right. He's about to potentially get punchable.
So kudos to last month's official unpunchable gift horse of the month, Gilbert Short. If you don't know what the heck this is or what we're talking about or why we keep talking about
real weird.
Why we keep saying unpunchable awkwardly, the reason we're saying is because we picked a very silly name that I immediately regretted.
Because it's real useful to repeat over and over again.
Really weird. Anyways, As you may or may not know, KoiCast has a fantastic Patreon that you can see over at patreon.com/KoiCast. There is a ton of very great ways that you can support this program and get a little fun stuff in return, including the patron-only pod. But of course, if you become a gift horse, you get entered every single month into this very contest where we will pick the unpunchable gift horse of the month, and that person gets free shirt or mask of their choosing from dragonwagonshop.com, gets special recognition in our Discord, and gets to pick something for us to watch and review on the patron-only pod. Gilbert did pick something because of the movie. We haven't gotten to it yet, but we will get to that in the weeks to come, Gilbert. Do not fret. There is no expiration date on that selection.
But we are men of honor.
We are men of honor. So the way that this works is we take everybody who is eligible for this lovely title. We throw them into wheelofnames.com because that's just how we do this. And we spin it at random. And every month that you are a gift horse, you are entered to win, which means Gilbert is still in the running because he's still a gift horse patron.
So I'm wondering if Gilbert's going to get punchable or remain unpunchable.
There you go. So you can, there's no limit to how many times you can win this. As long as you are a gift horse every month, you are entered into this.
I like to see this wheel grow. It's grown.
All right. So do you want to go ahead and give this away?
All right. 3.
All right. Without further ado, this month's unpunchable gift horse of the month.
Who we got? Oh, the great Jacob Wood. Mr. Jacob Wood is our unpunchable gift horse of June 2022. Congratulations.
It is officially Jacob Wood June.
That's true.
Jacob, congrats on being the unpunchable gift horse. Thank you so much for your support of the program. We will reach out to you. Keep an eye on your email about how to claim your winnings.
Jacob Wood's great. He's an OG koi, like back in the day fan. So it's good to see a familiar name on there.
Also, thank you so much for using Jacob. Because
less complicated.
Because your name's not Jake, and when people try to steal my name and claim that it's a nickname for their own, I get a little feisty.
It's a good thing there's only one Jake Lloyd out there. Otherwise, that'd be complicated. The amount of times I thought of Jake at Star Wars Celebration when he wasn't there because I kept hearing Jake Lloyd was so funny.
You're like, oh, he's here. Oh,
I was like, oh yeah, because not only do I associate Jake with cons, but then Jake Lloyd with cons, and him not being there, very confusing. Very confusing experience.
Well, thanks again to everybody who's a gift horse, everybody who's in this contest every month. Your support really does go a long way in helping us keep the lights on and helping the show grow and you know, just allowing us to do the best possible show that we can do. And if you would like to be in the running, if you would like to potentially take that title away from Jacob come July, I had to think about what month followed June.
That's how time goes.
Then you got to head on over to patreon.com/KoiCast and become a KoiCast patron gift horse.
105 episodes are up there now.
Of the patron only pod?
Yeah, 105.
Wow, that's a lot.
It's about to be 106.
That's a lot of patron only pods.
Yeah, it's crazy. So you can hear our thoughts on many pieces of art throughout the last 2 years. Get on over there. But that's going to do it for this week's regular KoiCast. As we leave, I just want to thank you for rating and reviewing on Apple Podcasts.
Yeah.
Those help us stay warm emotionally and literally. KoiCast.com has some sweet, sweet merch. We got shirts. We got mugs. We got masks. We got your appreciation. We've also got a Patreon we just talked about. It is very, very cool to see that grow and very appreciated. You can also follow us on social media. Use hashtag KoiCast to get our attention. I'm at KoiJondro. He is at Jake Lloyd Bacon. And if you guys want to be a hotline caller, simply call in at 818-794-0722. That is 818-794-0722. Next week, we'll be back with our hot and hotline heavy week, and maybe you'll have called in for the following. You can also send a voice memo to contact@koicast.com if you're overseas. If your memo is long, I don't know. There's reasons. There's reason to do it.
There is a 3-minute limit to the voicemail. That should be more than enough. We
little concerned.
We do ask
past a point.
Yeah, we do ask you to keep the hotline calls to a reasonable length. But you know, there are ways to get around that. Are just to send a voice memo to contact@koicast.com. And also it's you know, it's just an easy way for you to record it ahead of time. Although you'd miss out on that sweet outgoing message.
People love it. I'm proud of it, and people love it. I was afraid it was just for us, and it seems to be like some jokes are only funny, but I guess if you're listening to this show, you get us.
It is just for us.
It is.
But that's fine.
But thankfully, so are KoiCast listeners. They get us. All right, you lovelies, that's going to do it. We will see you next week. We appreciate you very much. Send Jake your good moving tidings and send me whatever energy you have so I can beat this burnout. Beat it. Okay, that's it. We're done. I love you. I'll see you next week. Bye. Oh, wait. I didn't leave. How did I almost... See, I did good in the middle, and then the opening and the wrap where I have a rhythm, the rhythm's gone. So I'd like to thank you for being here.
I was wondering.
I'd like to thank you for listening, and I'd like to thank you as ever to comic books for existing. Bye, guys.
You said thank you as ever for comic books.
It almost makes sense.
In the mid-1960s, the world's smartest TV producers brought together 4 young musicians to create a TV show that was years ahead of its time. I'm talking, of course, about the Monkees. And you, comedy, music, pop culture nerd, probably love the show, but don't realize it. That's why I, Monkees superfan Takuro McCullough, sit down with a variety of guests to watch every Monkees episode and discuss their glory on the Monkees podcast. Whether you're already a fan or have never seen an episode, the Monkees podcast is for you, as we discuss the Monkees phenomenon, hilarious antics, and deep fandom. So check it out at monkeespodcast.com, that's PAWDCAST, or wherever podcasts are found.
It's Dragon Wagon.